What's up, guys? Before we start the interview, I just want to say this video or podcast episode was taken after 2022 New Year's, after New Year's. So I definitely want to give a big thank you to Dana for coming by to the podcast and blessing my studio. Definitely go check him out on all music platforms at Dana Coppafeel, or he is an artist, digital artist, graphic designer for hire. Go check him out on Instagram at Kappa Cover. All the info down below in the description. Definitely check it out if you can. He's very talented, man. He has a bunch of collabs with amazing artists, as well as his own music, man. And for me, check me out on my Instagram for my artwork, my art monsters, or check out my Etsy. I appreciate it if you can. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. I would really appreciate it. With that being said, guys, let's get back to this interview with Dana Copperfield. Let's go. I hope it wasn't too.
No, no, dude. I can do whatever we need. Whatever we need.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Writing utensil. And this is my sister.
Hello, sister.
All right, Donna, man, thank you so much for coming, visiting me from Wisconsin all the way. Oh, yeah, right. Wisconsin to Rockford, man.
Milwaukee, yeah. No problem, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man, but before we really start and talk about your music and art, which I didn't know about.
Oh, no problem.
Which I'm actually very excited to talk about. Can you tell me a little bit of your upbringing, starting from as far as you want to go back?
Yeah, I mean, originally I'm from Rockford. Grew up over on Day Avenue by School Street by St. Patrick area. Grew up over there as a youngin. I grew up, lived over on 10th Avenue for a while, like 10th Avenue and Kishwaukee, and then 10th Avenue. I can't think of the other cross street. Maybe that's 6th Avenue area.
Yeah.
So I grew up in that area, and been here was living in Rockford. Was born here in '77. Went to elementary school here, middle school. Moved out of Rockford October 90th, or actually November, like the day after Halloween, November 1st, 90th. So I've been living in Wisconsin since then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, since November 90. And I kind of got into music here in Rockford with my friend Mike Check.
Shout out Mike Check.
Yeah, big ups to Mike Check. Actually, it was his older brothers that kind of got us into music, kind of. Like, that was our kind of first experience for rap music. For me, anyways, is Mike's brothers. They were kind of into it, and they had posters and vinyls and stuff, and they were kind of loosely doing it. And that's kind of where it got started, and freestyling for me, and just kind of freestyle. And then moved out to Milwaukee and went to high school in Milwaukee. I went to a school called High School of the Arts, which is kind of a high school that's focuses around different arts, whether it be music, theater, visual arts, or band.
Okay.
And dance as well. So I went there, and that's kind of where like music kind of took a bigger shape for me. I started getting into learning how to use samplers and beat machines and learning how to record, and that's kind of where like the big part for me started. And then just things kind of grew from there, getting into the music, learning certain things. I would come down to Rockford, see my check, during the summers and winter times, and kind of show him what I was doing and my drum machine, and then trying to get him into doing it. Like, hey, kind of figured out how to do this. Me and my friends are doing it. So that's kind of like where all the music kind of started, was right around there. So I've been in Milwaukee for a while. And then maybe like 99, I moved to Madison, or 2000, right around when 9/11 happened. I moved to Madison to go to school for music.
Mm.
recording technology and for digital art animation. I got 2 degrees there and kind of got into the scene there. And, just things just kind of grew kind of from, the mid 90s, late 90s into like where we are today.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Hell yeah. But when you were here in Rockford in the 70s?
Well, I was here during the 80s to
Okay,
90s. I was
okay.
born 77, so
Okay, okay.
not a lot of the 70s,
Okay,
and
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you were like first here, like, did you even have any like experience or knowledge of music?
I mean, I grew up. My mom had me when she was young, and so my dad was into music, and so like I guess my mom said I would always be around the record players, looking at the record vinyl, and I think music has always been kind of secretly something that I've always fascinated with, and I think like the real big thing that kind of influenced me and made me think that it was possible was like seeing Beach Street when I was young, got and started breakdancing. Like, what are they doing? Oh, they're
Yeah,
rap. What is this? And that was kind of first exposure to it. And then it kind of sat there. It was like a seed, until like I actually met Mike Check and his brothers and people who were like, Mike was breaking a little, his brothers were rapping a little,
yeah,
and then that kind of like cultivated the seed and made things kind of grow. But it wasn't like, it was just freestyling, hanging at the park, and it was really like me, Mike Check, and our boy Jerome, we called J Rock, and he was like older than me. He's 2 years older than me, and I'm 2 years older than Mike Check, so we kind of had like this cool generational thing happening.
yeah.
And so we would just kind of freestyle with each other. And that's kind of where it started. And then, from there, it's like, well, how do we learn to record these freestyles? How do we get beats? How do we learn how to do this? Because we were just really, we had a keyboard, a Casio crappy keyboard, and we were just rapping to the demos on there.
Yeah.
And then we would find like maxi singles back then where like tapes that had instrumentals. And so we would rap on those. But really, we were just at the park kind of fake beatboxing, trying to come up with ideas or go over to Jerome's house with the keyboard and send it back. And we just kind of freestyle. And then that always sat well with me. And I guess when I moved to Milwaukee and met people that were a little more advanced and there was a
Mm.
little more
Yeah.
scene, especially going to the High School of the Arts because you're a freshman, there were seniors, or you started learning all these different things and
Yeah.
like, wow, this stuff is really happening here. And so you picked up a lot there, and it's like, okay, we could really advance the music. So I think around that time is like, okay, I could really do this. Is where it more started turning into like trying to learn how to write, trying to learn how to actually make music. But
Yeah.
here in Rockford, it was more of like, let's freestyle, have some fun, and kick it at the park type shit. Nothing like.
And did you know what you were doing when you were like freestyling?
No, I mean we were just lit, like we were just trying to imitate what we heard,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
at
yeah.
that time it was really kind of simple Dr. Seuss stuff, riding on my bike, gonna get some gum to my girlfriend, psych, we just
Yeah, yeah.
just stupid stuff like that, just kind of learning more of how the structure of words should go and the
Mhm.
idea of rhyming. It wasn't really prolific or anything in depth. It was just more of like, baby steps,
Mm, okay, yeah.
like learning how to walk, kind of.
Just having fun and stuff.
Yeah, really just kind of, no one knew it was going to stick or be like something that we're going to do forever or try to figure out. It was just at that time, it was like we seen Beat Street, some rap movies, or, you know, Electric Boogaloo or Breakin' or,
Yeah.
Wild Style, all these like hip hop movies, and we listening to, like Kumo D and um, Fat Boys and Rakim, and we were just trying to do what they were doing, and so it was really no kind of thought behind it. It was just kind of like fun learning stuff.
Yeah, and
So no, we had no clue what we were doing.
and how did you and Michael Mike Check came about? Like were you just in the park and then?
Well, I think I don't really know. Me and Mike's known each other for so long. I think maybe I met him from my sister, Cherie, possibly. She might have met him first because they're around the same age. Maybe they were in class or
Oh, okay,
had a
okay.
class together. And then, like, me and Mike Check's friendship, like, she might even have met him or known him before we moved to Kishwaukee. Because when I moved to Kishwaukee, that's when we kind of met. And we got into a fight when we first met, and our whole like it all stemmed from a huge fight. But then
Yeah,
we realized we became friends. We had so much in common. We got that out of the way, and we've been like best friends since.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of a random meeting, and maybe
Yeah.
then yeah, it just kind of started. But I think my sister might have met him. I mean, I've known Mike since probably like 8 years old or something,
Okay,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
been a very long time.
Yeah, that's funny though, man, because some of my friendships have started because of beef, or like me,
Right,
them wanting to fight me, and then me wanting to fight them because
right,
I
right.
want,
No,
you
it's just,
know, it's funny, because
yeah.
like you don't think that would turn into a long time friendship.
Well, back in the day, it was different than
Oh
nowadays,
yeah, yeah, way
like,
different.
so it
I was
was,
born '93, just to let you know.
okay,
Yeah,
ninth,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
probably I was
yeah,
born in 77,
yeah.
so. But yeah, I mean, it was, back then it was a lot of knuckling up and fighting. And, like at that point, when you're fighting in the park and you're knuckling up and kids are around, you start having respect for people who can stand up for themselves and, who to mess with and who not to. So things are a little different. We just kind of, I don't know, just we've been friends ever since.
Yeah,
Like we haven't, that's like my brother. We haven't skipped a beat. And
yeah.
it's crazy that I ended up moving to Wisconsin, and we still stayed in contact during all that time.
Yeah, yeah, and that's beautiful, man. For a lot of people, it's, not to be bogus, but like they don't keep in contact, once they move out.
Right.
Yeah, I had a few people that, well, I mean, I lived in Chicago and I had friends, and then when I moved here and went back, it wasn't the same.
Yeah,
And I kind of like lost track and,
it happens like that. That
yeah,
sucks. So that
yeah,
was one thing for me. I was like, well, my grandma lived here. I have family here. I just didn't want to lose track of like uh, relationships that I thought had value.
yeah, yeah, and that's what's up, man, for real.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. So when you moved, how did it feel?
it was different. I definitely coming from a small city like Rockford, which was during that time kind of a predominantly black neighborhood. That's kind of where I grew up at. I moved to Milwaukee on the south side. That was more dominantly a Latino, Puerto Rican,
Oh, really?
Mexican.
Oh,
And
shit.
so that was like a whole different change.
Yeah,
Especially like the gang banging scene there was a
yeah.
little different.
Wait,
And
in Milwaukee?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Milwaukee,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
because living, there was like Kings and Latin Disciples and Spanish Cobras, and then there was this local gang called 21st Street, which were two ones, and they were
Yeah, yeah,
crazy. And I lived kind of in the neighborhood where there are a bunch of different like groups of
yeah.
gangs. So that was always weird trying to. It was just a different vibe, but it was cool because it was the same type of poverty,
Okay.
same type of people, just happened to be Latino or
Yeah, yeah,
Mexican. And they talk about me in Spanish, but you wouldn't have that in here in the black neighborhoods because everyone spoke English. So
yeah.
learning, like picking up on certain things, was different. I was kind of outsider for a while. Milwaukee was hard, probably the first 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, until like I got to about like towards the end of freshman year, things kind of changed, but I was really attached to Rockford. I had a lot of good friendships, moving from middle school to a whole nother city that's far
Yeah.
away and making new friendships, being an outsider at a new place. That was kind of hard. And high school allowed me to kind of reset moving to Milwaukee. So I started meeting new people and learning new things and getting into different stuff, like the graffiti scene, because a lot of graffiti artists went to my school because of the art school.
Yeah.
And getting more into the music because there were musicians there as well. Performance part because of the theater. So a lot of like my school was really eclectic. A lot of kids from the suburbs and inner city. It was like one of the schools where was a melting pot for Milwaukee, and so it was really cool to be there and like just gain experience. So once high school kind of hit, things kind of changed for the better. But yeah, it was a lot different moving to Milwaukee from Rockford.
Yeah.
A lot different.
Yeah, and I was gonna say my grandma is on School Street.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so I know that neighborhood. I
yeah,
know what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking about. Yeah,
yeah.
I would like when you said you're around that era. I thought it was different, but like
Yeah.
from what you described, it still was the
Yeah,
same as
it
well.
was it was like that area was definitely kind of it wasn't as bad now as it was back then. It was definitely like a bunch of different families. There was like a Mexican family or two in there, a
Yeah.
few black families, few poor white families, predominantly black neighborhood though for the most part, but it was like horrible,
Okay. Yeah.
as it is probably today, but
Yeah, it's definitely.
you'd have to definitely stand up for yourself.
Oh yeah, over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And yeah. And my cousin, man, he's actually from Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and he's told me how it's like. It's kind of like what is it, gentrification?
It's
Yeah,
segregated.
segregated.
Yeah, it's really segregated. Unlike here in
Rockford,
Rockford,
yeah.
Rockford isn't as segregated as Milwaukee is. Like
Yeah.
Milwaukee is like on this side of town, it's all like poor Latino, Mexican, Puerto
Yeah.
Rican. Then over here is all the black community, and then you're surrounded by the white suburbs. And gentrification on the east side is just kind of pushed. That used to be like the melting pot of the city, but they just tried to change it so much that it's like becoming like more white driven. So yeah, Milwaukee is a very segregated city, which also was a lot different too than Rockford.
Yeah.
Because Rockford you could walk in certain places and it'll be a nice mixture.
Okay.
Milwaukee,
Yeah.
depending where you're at, even though there is a nice mixture of people, and it's just depending where you're at.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And would you say that was kind of hard for you to like socialize? Because
No,
you're
not at all. I mean, I'm just always outgoing, funny
okay.
dude. I
Yeah.
can rib, I mean, rap, play basketball. Those were kind of things that kind of kept me under the radar. Like growing up in Rockford in the black community, the one things that I had to learn is like, hey, you better be willing to stand up for yourself. You have to be good at some type of sport or something because if you're hooping, they're not heads aren't gonna mess with you much. They're more gonna praise you like, oh, check out my white guy, he can bar.
Yeah,
Check out my white
yeah,
guy, he can rap. Oh, check, he's funny. So those were kind of the things that I kind of like focused rapping on, hooping, and certain things, and those are kind of the things that kind of kept me under the radar, so to speak, or not so much as like, standoffish or being like an outsider, I guess,
okay.
But at the same time, I grew up in these places and I knew these people and, neighbors are neighbors. So it wasn't like, you know, I've been poor my whole life. So being around poor people isn't really that big of a deal.
Okay.
It wasn't like, it wasn't like a big change or anything because this is how I grew up. It's just how it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. And have you ever had like, well, like let's say you want to go out to socialize and you felt and like let's say like a group of people, different race, was like, man, who's this white dude, man? And then would you start busting out the raps or?
No, I mean, you're always, it's always good to have a cosigner, roll with the right people,
Okay, yeah,
like, um, it's just, like, sometimes heads don't think you're at, like, playing basketball, people were always surprised because I don't look like I hoop, and then I
yeah,
go out
yeah,
and hoop, and damn, you can play like that,
yeah,
So those would be things where people are like, all right, yeah, I want to pick him, and just easy to make conversation, but never was like, who's the white dude? Because it's mainly like I was always rolling with, like most of my friends are, not to sound cliche, are black,
okay, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I really, like, like it's that's how I grew up,
Yeah.
like I just feel comfortable around. I feel comfortable around my brothers, whether they're black, Latino, whatever. I just feel comfortable being around poor people. Um, and people don't have shit, know what it's like to struggle, regardless of what that race is or whatnot. Does
Okay,
race play a factor? Sometimes, yeah, it does, But on the flip side, too, that's just an initial thing that people just initially contact and kind of throw out there. But after people get to know you and get past that,
yeah,
then things don't
better,
really matter
yeah,
anymore,
yeah.
So it's just, it's growth and just kind of reading situations.
And the only reason why I asked that is because I grew up in Chicago, the South Side, uh, dominantly Mexican. So I grew up with Mexican the majority of my life until '07, where I moved here. And like it was a little bit different, man, because like
Right,
you would have some Mexicans here, white, black,
right.
Asian, a little bit of Arab here and there. And I always felt awkward,
Yeah.
because I never socialized, and every race is different.
Yeah, people have different type of traditions and whatnot. I mean, I just try to go in open minded and like, hey, at the end of the day, I mean, I've had a lot of my black friends say that I'm black. They're like, Dana, you might look white, but deep down, you understand this.
Yeah,
And I take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I just try to be mindful.
yeah, yeah,
That's all I try to do is just go
yeah.
into situations being mindful.
Yeah, people look at me and be like, "Man, you Mexican as hell,"
You
but then
know,
when they get to know me, they're like, "Oh
right?
no, you're not."
I know people are like, you're white. I'm like, yeah, I know. I know, I know. And then sometimes it's also a cool thing because throughout music, there was a show. I was in this group called King Hellbastard. We were all white dudes.
Okay.
And we were playing a show on the south side of Chicago. It was in the hood. I can't really remember, in the Wild Hundreds area. Yeah, it's crazy. And we were playing with on not All Natural, but I forget what the name. It was like Iomas and Murad. He was part of this group called
Okay.
All Natural, or an extension, or the Family Tree, or something like that. It was kind of a big hip hop group in Chicago during that time, and we met Iomas, and he invited us out to this show. We didn't really think much of it until we got there, started driving. Like,
Yeah.
damn, we're in the hood, whatever.
Yeah.
Pull up, we go
Yeah.
into the bar. It's predominantly black. And we're probably like, maybe like, there's 3, 4, 5. There's like 5 white dudes, which probably are all with us, maybe outside of a few that were in the crowd.
Yeah.
And we ended up going and rocking and rapping and doing our thing. And we get off the stage. And I go up to the bar to get me a drink.
Yeah.
And there was this older black lady there. And she started talking to me. And she was like, I'm here to see my granddaughter. She performed right before you guys. And
Okay.
blah, came to support her. And she was like, I seen you guys go up on stage. And she was like, seen you guys walk up on stage, and I was like, ooh, Lord, protect these children.
Yeah.
And she was telling me this. And then she's like, the minute that first beat played and you guys started rapping, she's
Yeah.
like, oh, they're good. They're
Yeah.
good, And so she was just rocking with us, giving us props, which I thought was really cool and cute, because she was like, I was scared for you guys. She's like, I don't think you guys know where you're at,
Yeah.
And it was such a sweet thing. And, so it's how you present yourself. You're going to be caught in situations. You're going to be tested. So it's just really, you got to go out there, know what you're talking about. You have to sell. You have to sell what you're doing. And once you do, people could tell if you're authentic or not. It's easy. Every shirt has a tag. So it don't matter what's printed on the front. And you can tell if it's real or not by the tag. So people can just genuinely tell, if you're authentic. So I think, people can read those tags. So it's just like, you're gonna have experiences, and you're gonna have good, bad experiences. Believe me.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's up. Because I was gonna say, bro, your music, I definitely like it a lot, dude. It. I mean, I really don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely unique to
I
me.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I just try to do what I like. I'm just trying to make what I want to make. I'm not really focused on what people want to listen to or what they're into. I mean, I know I'm not like some double time trick twister type rapper. I mean, I could rap about selling crack. I've sold crack, but that's not who I am. I could rap about shooting guns. I've shot guns. I could rap about gang banging. Believe me, I've been there. I've seen shit. But that's just not the type of stories I need to portray or who I am. There's a lot of other people already telling those stories, and I need to stick to what's me and what is going to benefit me. What I listen to and what I like may not be what I make. And you got to understand the boundaries of being an artist. Like Van Gogh is painting how Van Gogh paints. He's not trying to paint like Michelangelo. He's not trying to do sculpture. So I have to and that's the hardest thing about art in general, is just accepting what you're able to do and knowing what you want to do, and then focusing on that. So that's been the hard journey in itself, So I kind of I know what I want to make, and I'm just going to kind of focus on that.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, bro. That's why I think it's unique to me, is because you're not just rapping about boats and hoes.
Yeah.
That's why I say, like, don't get me wrong. I like rap, but it's not my top.
Right. No, there's a time and place for everything,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I need to rap about or make art that reflects the relevancy of my life, not what other people are, Like, and at the same time, just because I don't rap about that or doesn't mean that I haven't been in those situations or seen that or understand that, But life is,
it's more than just boats.
Right. I mean, art is going to imitate life all the time. That's our major inspiration, is just our daily life and what we're doing, And so I'm trying to tap from that.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, man. For real, like I said, I really fucks with it, man. What? Can you tell me your first track?
Yeah, I mean,
Your name and where can we find it?
I don't think you can find my
Damn.
first track.
'Cause I seen your I don't know if it's your album or your first single was the latest I saw was 2010.
Yeah, I think probably like I mean I have stuff before that. I was with the group. I mean my first like real recording was on a Milwaukee label on a Milwaukee independent record label. I called like Brick House or something of that nature. It was a
Okay.
compilation put together by a DJ, and it was like not just rap compilation. There was like punk. It was just ska, all kinds of different stuff on it. And we did the song. I was in a group called Rusty Pelicans, my high school group. Um, and we did a song called Heat Holders for that compilation. And I can't even find the CD that came out. I don't even know if it exists. I don't, but I cannot find. That would probably be the first song that I recorded, and that was probably like 96,
96.
96, 97.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would be the first time like I actually recorded, like really being in a studio.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we were making like freestyle tapes. I had a drum machine called the DR5, and it's like an old school drum machine.
Okay.
And we had like my friend Adam, who I was in the group Rusty Pelicans with, he had a DR5. So we had two of them, but he also had this sampler that was like a 12-second sampler, and it had a few banks so you could get samples and then you could play your samples over your drums. And I had a karaoke machine.
Yeah.
And so we would run the drum machine and the sampler into the karaoke machine, and then we'd make the beat that way.
Yeah.
But as the beat's playing, we would freestyle to it.
Yeah.
So then we started making like little hood tapes. Like my guy Omen, he was like a gangbanging dude that lived by me, and he was like with all these Latin kings. And him, my boy Rocky, who's passed away. I met him through Omen, and we made these tapes. Like we would travel. Omen would take us to these spots, and we'd go to like all these different like gang banging locations where his homies were at and shit. And we'd go up in there and play the beats and the sampler, and then we would just rap. And we made a tape that way, and we did like probably like 10, 15 songs just freestyling in different locations, and we had it all on one tape, and then we like kind of dubbed it out and handed it out to the homies. And so that was kind of like maybe the very first like recording of like us messing around, but of having fun. And like with the Pelicans during our senior year in high school, we had a 4-track recorder, so we were making like beats and kind of demos on that as well. But the very first recording would be the song called Heat Holders with the Pelicans. But no one's gonna find that. If you can, good luck.
Yeah, if you do, man, drop a comment down below, bro.
Yeah.
Or send me a link. I would love to hear it. Man, like, did you even know what you were doing with the drum and the?
I mean, it all kind of came. It came kind of natural. With the drumming and the beat making, like once we kind of figured out, just kind of came natural. Like you figure out your tempo, you boom boom. Because you were beatboxing,
Yeah.
like we would beatbox, so that's how we learned how to keep beats and keep time. And then, once we got the drum machine and we were just kind of imitating what we were hearing. So it just kind of came natural. And once that kind of came, it was like, okay, damn, I can make beats now too. So, for a while I was experimenting with production. I think it helped helped me write and understand the structure of writing bars and how the beat changes and flows.
Yeah.
And the timing. So, like there was like a lot of experimenting during that time, in high school to college years, just trying to figure out like how we should do this or how to go about it.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated how people in the music industry before like this technology blew up.
Yeah.
How the hell do you guys cut like what you just said? Like, oh, we put this and this together. And then we just made it. It's like, what? How, like, first of all, how does that even come to mind?
No, well, you just kind of, you just kind of see what other people are doing or you hear and you just kind of start experimenting and you figure it out. I mean, there was no blueprints. There was no internet. There was no digital sound. Nothing. There was just, you run this to this and then you just experiment. And then that's all it really was, I mean, there, like, to record, like, So we were making freestyles because once the beat started playing and once we started rapping, we couldn't stop and go back and change anything. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
all one take. So if I was gonna mess up and I knew that's about to come up, I'm past the mic, you
Oh,
know.
okay,
And
okay,
that's kind
yeah,
of like how we did it. But yeah, recording back then, like when you had to record on tape and stuff, like you couldn't just punch in. You'd have to have the song start all the way from the
yeah,
beginning. You
yeah,
had to do everything all over. It was just you'd waste a lot of time in the studio. You know, as of today, you could just go in and it could play over and over. You could punch in, and
yeah.
you, that was not the case back then. You know, so it was a lot more work into it, and like you would learn as you would go because you couldn't always like you would want to be prepared going into the studio, but you no matter what or how much you were prepared going into the situation, just shit would always happen, especially when you're recording analog. You know, there's
Okay,
just
yeah.
things that would always just take longer. You know, than what it normally would. So it was a whole different time just making beats and everything, like just way different. You know, I had like a CD burner that I connected to the beat machine, and then I'd run my beats into there, and then I'd burn CDs off of that. So,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, we'd have the external CD burner and make CDs right there, or we had like the mini discs. We'd record right on the mini disc because they had the optical digital. So
yeah,
these are like old school
yeah,
technologies that were kind of starting to move towards digital, you know.
yeah.
So it was, yeah, definitely different beast, definitely different thing.
Was it hard for you
I
to
mean,
like learn like the advancement?
no, I think digital made it a lot easier for
Okay.
sure. You know, everything, you know, especially once I started going to school to learn that stuff. I mean, everything was just sitting there touching, you know, just at the keyboard or a click of the mouse where analog you just had this, everything is outboard moving through this. You'd have to manually EQ everything and then you run it through, then you'd come back and mix. It was definitely a more tedious process.
Yeah, and I say that, bro, because even though I'm from '93, like this computer I barely got like last year, bro, and like, dude, the headaches it gives me.
Yeah, well, technology is a bitch, you know,
Yeah,
for
and like I
sure.
mean, it's basic video editing. I really
Right.
don't fuck with the audio because that's another thing.
That's a whole nother, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, it's like well, it's all the same shit.
Well, you're learning as you go, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So what you're doing now is going to what you're doing now. If you stick with it, is going to look different 2, 3 years from now.
Oh
You
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. It definitely does look different from the first video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as you know, definitely. So that growth is just growth just happens organically. As you do it more, you start learning shortcuts, how to cut your process down and save time, and you know start focusing on what you really think are important. You know, things change. You know, evolution is quite important to growth.
yeah, man. That definitely wise words, man. Hell yeah, dude. Fucking we're about that 35-minute mark, man. We're gonna head to the smoke room.
All right, cool.
For everybody watching, stay tuned. Follow us to the smoke room. Uh, yeah, definitely follow us to the smoke room,
We
man.
doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Breakdown, roll up. We're about to get into it, man. And thank you guys for. But we're back, guys. We're in the smoke room, man. I'm with Donna Copperfield, man.
Bo bo bo.
Oof. Yeah, man. Oof. So we're talking a little bit about music, man. Not too much, but I definitely want to get more into it, man,
Uh
if we
huh.
can.
Yeah, of course.
So when did you start your music, bro? Were you in DDC, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, DDC is kind of a newer thing.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong, bro. I just
No, 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 not at all, not at all. DDC is kind of a newer thing. I think over the last 3, 4 years, maybe that's kind of been like the DDC is kind of the formation, and that's really kind of like uh Chris Jeebus and
shout out Chris Jules.
yeah, shout out to Chris. That's kind of his thing, and I kind of came to the idea to mic check a while ago about
That's
have
just a little one. We got a big one over
no,
there.
that's fine. Talk to Mike Check about creating like a little scene of people that can like help each other, help network, kind of make it look bigger than what it was. And so, you know, I kind of talked to Chris about, yo, maybe you should take on these ideas of kind of bringing together these people, managing them because they're trying to get into the music and figure it out, and there's just strength in numbers.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like, so no, I was never with DDC, but I mean, DDC in itself has evolved because Chris and Mike Check were in a crew called the Derelicts, and this is kind of an offbeat. DDC is kind of like an offbeat or throwback to that idea of the Derelicts. And the Derelicts was kind of like Mike Check and Chris's old crew, like in the 90s. So when they first kind of started, they kind of had like a big posse. Before Mike Check kind of started up the split ends and track team. And so, like, so no, the short answer is no, I was never part of DDC. I just kind
Okay.
of like a helper,
Okay.
helping them out, kind of um, giving advice, helping those guys out with whatever they needed or, stuff like that. If it was within my power, play a few shows for them or with them. Um,
Okay. Yeah, I was just asking because just last year, 2021, is where I kind of met Chris Jeebus, and then that like months later, that's when I met the whole DDC.
mm.
So I wasn't sure. You could throw that. Fucking yeah, I didn't know exactly who's in it, who's been in it, or who
Well,
associates with it.
I think for like when it first started, Mike Check, IQ. Um, that's around the time I met Jay Church. They started bringing Jay Church in. Came to Abel, kind of started getting into music. They brought him in. Um, and that's right when I met Nino Cruz because he kind of loosely was messing with them and Big Hayes. So that was kind of like the beginnings of that. Oh yeah, and Stone the Unknown, can't forget
Oh
him
yeah,
either.
shout out Stone the bro. I fucking love his music,
So
bro.
those were kind of like where I met those guys were from the DDC, and that was kind of like the loose crew of like how. And I was just really trying to be a mentor or like consultation.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
if they needed some information or they needed help or advice, I was just trying to be in the back to just try to help them cultivate that that scene to help try to give Rockford a scene. The idea was like start getting joint shows, creating something, pulling people together, and then also pulling that stuff to like other places like Milwaukee and like trading shows. That idea of kind of creating like an alliance, so to speak.
Oh, that's dope. Is there anybody that you've collaborated besides Michael Mike Check
Like, what do you mean
on?
here in Rockford?
Yeah, music. Yeah.
Um, well, I've done stuff with like mainly Mike Check. It's been Mike Check is like yeah, I would say mainly Mike Check is probably
I checked out the new rapper album.
oh yeah,
New rapper
rapper
music.
music,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry about that. Definitely go check it out. It's on Spotify so far from where I've seen.
yeah.
Spotify.
So I mean, other than Mike Check, I mean, I've kicked it. Like Split Ends is a group I've done music with, and which is Mike Check's one of Mike Check's group. I've done music with them. The Derelicts, I was on that first CD, which is super old, very rare. Um, so that's about yeah. Mike Check would probably be the main person that I've collaborated with in Rockford.
Is there anybody you're wanting to? Because I know I definitely know you collaborated with other people besides from the people from DDC and Michael Mike Check. I was
Yeah.
just making sure because I know people upload to different
Well,
platforms.
okay. I've collabed with AV. And he used to rap, really the COVID crew. So I've done some stuff back with like Covert, which I said COVID, but Covert, which was like Birdo and them, Birdo, Fresco, Rye Bread, AV, Blake. I think Op Rhyme was a part of that, and so I kind of loosely done some songs with some of those guys.
Yeah.
During that run, Birdo was my motherfucking homie. Haven't seen him in a minute.
Shout out him.
Big up Birdo.com. And .com was a huge inspiration, and he was like a huge bridge because by meeting him, I started meeting a lot of other people. He was like the first person, like outside of Mike Check, Rye Bread, Birdo. Rye Bread and Birdo kind of brought me to meeting like all the Covert cats and
Yeah.
that. And we were doing a lot of shows with them in like Bar 3, CJ's, Mary Place, Kryptonite. Um, you know, uh, Mike Check had a big event called Versus with Versus, which was like a big battle thing that they were doing at Mary's Place for a while. So we would come
Yeah.
down, play shows, and kind of help him promote for that. But yeah, collab wise, that's about it.
Hmm. Is there anybody you wanting to
I mean,
collaborate with right now?
like in Rockford
Or it don't matter, bro.
in general,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's always like, I mean, like a bucket list, right? A
Yeah,
bucket list would be like producers. I mean, like to work with DJ Premier would be rad. To work with like the Alchemist or
oh yeah.
Madlib or Pete Rock, like those are kind of like dream choices of people to work with. I mean, I don't know who. I mean, I would love to do songs with like uh, Currency or
Yeah, that'd
some
Woo.
trying to think Joey Badass.
I can see you on the same
Uh,
track, man.
I mean, I have songs with like Riff Raff, Action Bronson, Sadat X, Sky Zoo, Guilty Simpson. So those are kind of like people that I looked up to that I thought are big deals. I mean, as far as like G
Wait,
Easy, got a song with. So I've got a
wait,
chance to collab with quite a few people.
wait. Who? Where are these songs?
I mean, like a lot of
On
it's on
their platforms.
on Spotify,
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
on my
okay,
Spotify, Dana Copperfield, Spotify or Apple Music. So yeah, I those are those songs exist through those platforms.
okay. Because I noticed on your YouTube, you don't got one of your albums or mixtapes you have on your SoundCloud.
Well, I had a few different YouTubes.
Yeah,
So if you're looking for me on YouTube,
yeah.
search
Where would you want to point people to like look at
just
everything?
search YouTube Dana Copperfield, and there should be a actual YouTube playlist, a Dana
Yeah.
Copperfield YouTube playlist, and almost every video I'm a part of or featured or a group of is on there. So if you go through there, there'll be stuff. I have stuff like Action Bronson. There's a video with me, Action Bronson and Riff Raff. There's tons of videos. So yeah, YouTube. But there's a bunch of different YouTube pages that host my videos. Like
Okay.
Unify Records was a record label I was working with in Milwaukee.
Oh shit.
I have my own YouTube page, Dana Kappa. Trying to think, there's another place that hosts
That
my music too.
does your website also have like? Oh, okay, yeah, it has.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I don't have no website, but yeah, YouTube should like if the YouTube playlist should have everything.
okay.
Everything. If you just search Dana Copperfield and go to playlist, there should be a playlist that I created that pops up that'll have every video I've been involved with, every group.
Oh shit, dude. Yeah, that's what's up, bro. I definitely love Action Bronson. Don't
Yeah,
listen
I'm
to.
good with this. You good?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Some riff raff, not too many.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you're just gonna take the
G,
opportunities that come.
yeah, yeah, G Easy, bro. But yeah, definitely, man. That's what's up, bro. Oh, yeah. But like when you did like do a song with Action Bronson, bro, how was that feel? Or like somebody like that, that
Well,
status.
I mean, all right. Action Bronson was a cool experience because I was actually in the studio with him. We kicked it for a whole weekend. Him and Riff Raff came to Milwaukee, and they flew in like a Friday, and so we worked on the song Friday. Um, went to the studio, or no, we went to the studio on Friday. Worked on the song Friday. Went into the studio, and then we recorded like Friday night. And then Saturday we shot the video, and then we went out to dinner. And then Sunday went to a Bucks game, and then they were out.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the weekend. So it was cool, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I bet, man.
it was
Hell
a
yeah.
cool experience. I mean, we have a video from it. Got a song from it. Uh, it was dope because my record label hit me up and was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this song, and we wanted to put you on it." And I was like, "Man, that's a real dope experience." So
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
cool,
yeah, yeah.
like I can't even tell you in words. And then about
Bro, you could do a fucking video with Vanilla Ice, bro, and I will still praise you, bro, because opportunities,
yeah,
bro. If I could meet just somebody I look like I watch on YouTube or TV or something, bro, I would fucking cry my eyes out, bro. Because
I hear you.
just to be in the same room or connect with somebody like I look up to,
Yeah,
some,
yeah. No, it's very surreal.
yeah,
Definitely. it's very surreal, and you'll have like some of those surreal moments, which is great,
Yeah, man.
because sometimes it validates what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it doesn't and makes you feel like, oh, I need to work harder or
Oh
I'm
no.
not good enough. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy working with people like watching Ashton Bronson write or watching Riff Raff write, and then watching them go into record and how they record.
Like, were you like, damn, am I ready?
No, yeah, the whole time, because you're like, oh, yeah, exactly. You're like you're doubting yourself because you know why people like them and it's happening in front of you. Like the minute Action started rapping, like
Yeah.
you hear it. You hear what people hear and you're hearing it in like real time, real life in that small space.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, damn, this is my song, or this is a song I'm on. This is really happening. Yeah, it's very surreal. And you're like, yeah, his fans are gonna love this. They're gonna love this. And the riff raff goes, and you're like, I don't know what's going on, but by the time it's over with, you're just dying laughing. And the way he records and the way he puts it together is entertaining. But like, he's an artist. I
Yeah.
mean, he puts thought behind what he's doing.
Oh yeah, dude, I definitely love his
And
music,
then when
bro.
I
It's
go in
shit.
and I'm like I'm second guessing. I'm doubting myself, the whole time. And then, I'm like, oh, I need to come back and re-record it and
Yeah.
this and that, because you're like, I'm going to be exposed to their fans, and their fans already like them. They already have that built in,
Hmm.
people, their name and what they're doing. Like, so how are their fans going to take to me? That's the other thing. So yeah, it was nerve wracking and it could be scary. Sometimes you just can't think about that. You just got to make what you're making, make the art, and let the people judge.
I mean, that's funny you say that, bro. Cause like, bro. I mean, I should you not. I don't know if I sound cocky when I say this, but you're seeing me like build my prime, and like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm having fails more
Right,
than what you see that might be good.
right. But you're growing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, not so long ago, bro, I had a feeling because I worked with somebody that does painting,
Uh
and I
huh.
thought I was ready.
Yeah.
And then like as he works with nothing but cans.
Ah.
And me, I gotta work with like markers and then paint and then
Right.
have brushes.
Right.
But brushes and not just cans, bro. I'm not there yet. And
Yeah.
so I felt like I dropped the ball hard as fuck.
Well, the thing is, you got to realize that you have to have your process, and so if you're looking up to him and like you're looking at him as being
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah,
the
great,
best, the
yeah,
epitome, right.
yeah,
So just imagine the work that it took him to get there. It wasn't
yeah,
like
yeah,
overnight, So you can't put yourself in that same place. You can't say, "Hey, I have to overnight be," it's going to take time. And you know what? Maybe your process isn't cans, and that's okay to accept that.
yeah,
The
yeah,
thing is like as an artist, I try to tell my kids is like once you see that you're good in something, whether you like it or not, just explore that because those things are going to come more easier to
yeah,
you, and that's going to help build confidence, and you're going to be able to create within those boundaries, and you're going to start creating rules and things for yourself. So when you start holding yourself or comparing yourself to what people are trying to do or where you're trying to be and where you're at and what they're doing and what you're trying, like you're always going to get lost in the mix because you're your worst critic. You're always
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
hard on yourself. So
Yeah,
what
I
you
was
have to do,
definitely the whole process. I was like,
yeah.
man, fuck, am I ready? Like
No, but
that.
you are ready
Yeah,
because if you weren't ready, then you wouldn't be there.
yeah,
The opportunity presents itself when you're ready.
yeah, dude. That day was crazy, but like,
So you
yeah,
got to embrace your process. You
yeah,
got to say, "Hey, this is my process," and
yeah,
then you just get good at your process. And then people will look at you like, "Damn, you see what you do with the market? Like, I'm over here with these cans. I should be doing this." It's ideas to change people's perspective or
yeah.
spin it. Like, you have to realize the value that you have too, what you hold, and you don't realize that value when you're comparing or looking or having aspirations to be like these other people. You have to like find where you fit in, what's your niche, and then you have to embrace that. And once you do that, then you're going to make big steps into what you want to do, because how you think it's going to happen in your mind, it never happens that way.
Yeah, I show you now, bro. I was thinking of how this podcast was gonna go. Like, am I gonna be too annoying? Am I not gonna ask enough questions? And I mean, so far, man, I had fun, man.
Yeah,
Getting
it's
to know
been
all you,
good,
bro.
man. I mean, we ain't even really touched on anything too deep.
I
So,
know, yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like, I mean, you'll see at the end, but like, I always tell people, man, I can't really You can't really tell your whole life story in an hour and 30 minutes, or an hour, bro.
Right.
So my door is always open for you to come back whenever, bro.
Yeah.
If you ever touch on Rockford, man, you got.
I'm out here lurking quite a bit, you know. Rockford's my hometown, so I'm always moving around. I try to come down here as much as possible and like hang out with my friends. I'm working on doing a show. I'm working on booking a show actually here, March, April at Mary's Place.
Okay.
So I'm in the talks right now with the booking agent of that place. So I really like that place. So yeah, I'm gonna know in the next few weeks about a show there. So that'll be really cool, and we're gonna keep it just like hip hop, grown man hip hop, because that's just kind of where I'm going with it. You know, like I do this certain type of stuff. I'm not trying to compete. I'm not making music to blow up. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm Dana. I'm a grown ass man with family. I make music to have fun. You know, I have a job. That's where I really get paid at. And this is the type of companionship and type of things that I want around me. So I'm gonna try to make shows and curate shows like that, like some grown man hip hop type shit. You know, this ain't like I'm not trying to impress people. Come drink a few beers, come listen to some boom bat type shit and enjoy yourself. You know, it isn't for everybody, but that's the focus. You know, focus on my lane, what we're doing. So yeah, I'm trying to have a show out here in March, April. Is that what I said? I'm a little lit right now.
No, that's fine.
March, April, yeah.
Yeah, when you confirm it, definitely let me know, bro.
I shall.
I'd love to promote it, bro. Sure.
I would. I mean, yeah, we would love, yeah, come through and we could talk about it, do another sit down. I like that. You know, I enjoyed myself.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you still got time. We're at like an hour and a minute.
Man, I'm here. Go. If you ask whatever you want, you can do whatever. All good.
I want to ask, man. What? Well, man, let's talk a little bit about music, cause.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. What was the youngest you went on stage, if you remember?
I think the first time I went on stage, I was probably in high school. It was the summer, probably 94.
Oh shit, 94, bro. I was 1 year old.
Yeah, I think it was like 94.
Here in Rockford?
No. The first time on stage, it was in Milwaukee. It's just this place. Okay. So Milwaukee has a huge summer festival called Summerfest. Yeah. Like I said earlier, I went to this high school, the Arts West Division.
Yeah, there's something I forgot to mention, bro. Yeah, because I've heard that Milwaukee has a bigger scene for hip hop or music scene.
Even back then, in this time, there was no real scene for hip hop. So
or something.
I met this guy named John Kester, and he was in this group called Three's Company, and it was kind of like Beastie Boy-ish. And he was about a year older than me. He was older than me for sure. But somehow him and his guys were in the scene. They did like all ages show. They were in high school. So there's this place called the Globe East that was in Milwaukee. And it was in a cool area not too far from this place called Summerfest. And so they were doing a show, and I was hanging out with them. And I happened to go to the show with them. And it was like a mixture of ska music and rap, which wasn't like, it was like Beastie Boy type rap type shit, It was like really graffiti kids, skate kids that were there, punk rockers and shit like that. So it was a mix of like, high school kids because it was an all ages show. And so that was the first time I got to rap. They pulled me up on stage and I was freestyling with them during a song. And that was a really cool experience. So John Kester was the person that kind of got me on stage, and which was cool because he went to the same high school as us and he was doing shows like in Madison and Milwaukee and like weird different places. So he was like the first exposure for me to someone that was actually doing like really doing stuff like, oh man, you can play here, you can do, there's all age venues, because you didn't really know nothing. It was just a whole different time. So these shows weren't like really hip hop shows, and Milwaukee had a lot of like basement shows, like where punks, like a lot of punk rockers and like DJs, and ska music was real popular, and fucking punk and some hip hop, depending if you were cool. Yeah. And there were just like basement shows where it's just like all like, high school kids, a few college kids, whatever, and they just play these shows that were just packed in the basement, kegs and rock out. And so those were like the first experience to shows and stuff were during that time, like in high school and like in the late 94, 95, you know.
Yeah, about being in Wisconsin for a bit.
Yeah, he lived up in Milwaukee for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
while, him and his family. I've seen him off and on there. I wish we would have connected more, but you're moving at these
yeah.
pace, get caught in these lanes, you're trying to,
Yeah, dude, tell me about it, man.
you know,
Ever since I took this journey, not just podcasting, man. I mean, like my art, like
right.
this just came afterwards as a second.
Yeah, it's like an afterthought, but it's something
Yeah,
you enjoy doing, and
yeah, yeah. If I don't make an ass out of myself.
no, but I mean that's part of it though
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
It's all right.
yeah.
If you can't laugh at yourself, you gotta.
Yeah, I mean, and,
Shit is what it is, man.
yeah, I mean,
I've made an idiot out of myself many a times. That's how we mature and evolve. It just happens that way.
I'm glad you said that, man. God damn it, it's like you. I mean, I feel like you experienced stuff. Cause yeah, bro. I mean, most of my life I made an idiot out of myself. Not really paying attention and shit, bro. You know, this is just what 2020 or 2019, bro. I just like, man, I want to be an artist, bro, because I was drawn throughout my life, but I just stopped periods of time because I got into smoking weed and I got
Yeah.
to connect that with selling me good weed, bro, and that gave me more attention than my drawing.
Right.
So
Well,
and
you got to evolve and grow. Age has a lot to do with that. When I smoked a lot of weed when I was in like I started at 18. So for a while, things take different precedence in your
no,
life.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
okay. That's okay. There is no set like age for success. And
yeah,
that's the thing that we got to get out of our minds. That's what a lot of people get caught on. Oh, if I don't have this by this, and no, it's not like that. Because like in one day, 1 hour,
yeah.
things can change, and that shit isn't called overnight. It's called like nothing happens overnight. Any overnight career takes 5 to 10 years that of work you don't even see.
It
All
does.
you see
Yeah,
is like the boom bam. Oh yeah, he's famous all of a sudden.
yeah, yeah.
But people don't see what happens before that or any of that or the work that goes into it. Overnight takes 5 to 10 years. So
Oh yeah.
what you gotta do is just focus, and in order to focus, you have to accept. In order to accept, you have to know what you want to do. You have to like, okay, commit to it. Because I know what it's like. I'm 45. I work for myself as an artist. And I would have, if you would have said, that to me like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I'd probably be like, no way, because I was working at a job I hated. I was making money. I had insurance, and I
Yeah.
was trying to be the growing up and shit. And I never thought that like being an artist was lucrative or I could be. And I always focused on rap in a different way of like thinking I'm gonna blow, being competitive and worrying
Yeah.
about what other people are doing. And now I don't worry about those things. And I look at everything in a different light. So when COVID hit and everybody isolated, I like just before that, like 2 months before that, I quit my job almost. I put in a 2 week
Oh, really?
notice. My
Yeah.
job was fucking with me. I worked very hard there. I was trying to get a promotion. They didn't want to give it to me. Felt like I was jumping hoops. I helped like grandfather a process and brought like a new way of making money to their business. I
Oh,
learned a
okay.
lot myself too. I went on and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to go into sales and learn this and thinking I'm going to grow and had like opportunities, and that just didn't happen. And I was doing art on the sideline and it was going pretty good. I was getting better. I didn't have the confidence. So I put in my 2 week notice. COVID hit. Everybody was isolated.
Yeah, yeah.
Next thing you know, I just started turning out art. People needed art and just started happening. I was like,
Oh
I'm going to
shit.
work for myself. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to turn it. I'm going to do 8 hours a day doing this. And like I don't make as much money as I used to. I don't have the benefits, but I'm
Yeah.
a lot more happier. I can manage my time in a better way, of the way that I want to focus on the things I want, actually being a real entrepreneur. But it takes time, and not only does it take time, but it also takes like you to tell yourself, saying, yes, I'm committing to this and it can happen. Like there's going to be hiccups and you got to accept that. You have to accept there's going to be failure. And people are like, well, I'm going to fail, or people are scared of failure so they don't try. But that's not, like, everyone fails on their way to everybody, like it's just part of the learning thing. So You have to get that out of your mind. Once you start embracing these certain like facts of like, manipulating reality, you could be whatever the fuck you want. It
Yeah.
takes baby steps,
Yeah.
just small goals. Like then you stop to turn around and look like, damn, I took like 10 big steps and I just all of that were just from tiny steps saying I got to get this far. And once I got this far, you could turn and say, shit, I could do this. So it takes time, believing in yourself. It takes a lot of different confidence. It's a different type of fucking hustle. It's a different type of beast. But at the end of the day, like you're gonna be the first person that's gonna stop you from achieving anything you want. And that's what we have to don't matter the age. Like if I sat and like, oh fuck, I'm like 40 rapping, who gives a fuck? I'm an artist, I'm happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and am I gonna blow? I don't know. Who cares, right? Who gives a fuck? As long as I just have somebody, 10 people, 6 people, whatever it is, someone looking, I'm inspiring that person, then I'm feeling good about what I'm trying to do. And if I can do it and I'm a fuck up, you can do it, anyone can.
Dude, that's the whole reason why I did the podcast, because I'm a fuck up, and if I can show people I'm a fuck up and I'm trying to do something,
Right.
like anybody can,
Well, we can't be the person that we were 10 years ago. We're not that person. We are evolving, we're changing. We need to learn to embrace the person we are trying to become and who we are now. Not like the journey is important, but those are just markers of telling you where you're at.
Yeah.
And then once you start engaging into that, you start really making the real moves. And, that's, I mean, you just have to have confidence in yourself. A lot of us, I mean, we're just programmed to like lose that confidence in who we are or scared of or worry about what other people think. But what it is everybody has those same insecurities. Everybody has those same fucking problems. So I guess if I can laugh at him, you can laugh at it, and then shit, I can be a comedian, right? So might as well be a comedian.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. I could definitely tell, like we're like on the not the same path, but like
No, you're on the same page, man. No, you got it. No, we are in the same path. I mean, here we are. We're intersecting right now, and we are. You're doing your work. You're reaching out to people. You're legitimizing yourself. Them are important things.
Yeah.
And then it's always about and then it's always about the person that's sitting here too. It's about your journey as well. So yeah, you're here. So it isn't about like at a point of like saying you just got to embrace what you want to do, and then like who cares about the other shit, like no, we're all weird, we're all awkward, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, definitely embrace yourself, man. But yeah, I totally forgot about, you just don't do music, bro, you also do art.
Well, arts just paid me more, like paid me way more than music. And then so once like I started listening to what other people were telling me, started I was able to start tapping into that a lot more.
And can I ask, like, what do you like? Are you a classic paper or pencil?
No, I mean, I've never been like
Digital.
I'm more of a digital artist. I'm more of a multimedia artist. I'm not a draw. I can't drawer. I can't draw to save my life. And really not the great. I mean, I can do some graffiti and draw some letters or paint some trains, but
You do.
I probably suck at that now. I was never really good at it. I just kind of experimented with it because it was fun. A lot of people around me were doing it, and why not? But more like a collage artist. I'm more of a digital artist. I have a great, I went to art school for 4 years. I got a 2-year art degree.
Yeah.
So, I picked up like, I'm more of like, more of like I'm good with composition. I know how things should look. I suck at like colors and color theory and shit. And I tend to just kind of I'm a minimalist. I like just using what I have. I don't try to go out of my way to. So whether it's like, National Geographics or pictures or like maybe drawing. Sometimes I do draw some shit, if I need it. But, overall I do kind of like cover art flyers and I do a lot of vectorizing and logo stuff for people like bands and local clothing companies.
Okay.
I do like album layout, vinyl layout, CD layouts for people. Sometimes they have their art already, and then I just lay it out or add some pictures to it.
Okay. Cool.
And then
And like, are you for hire or
yeah, I
do you
mean,
go
for the
through?
most part, yeah, I freelance a lot, but I do have, so I just recently also I do campaign art. So I
Okay. Okay.
work for a company out of Chicago, and I do like text-based campaigning art for people that are running for like Congress or Senate and
Oh
stuff
shit.
like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I help like do that that's like my 9 to 5 is like creating like images or gifts that this campaign company sends out in text forms to
Okay.
people's phones for someone that's campaigning to become, like I said, everywhere from like governor or alderman to Senate to Congress, etc. So
Okay.
that's kind of 9 to 5, and then in between there, I do like freelance stuff for like artists and people that are like me, rappers, bands.
I was gonna say, did you do your own album
Which
covers?
one?
All of them.
I do some of them. Like, yes, some of them I do. The last past everything I've done, yeah. Outside of the help of a photographer,
Okay.
whoever that photographer may be at the time. So, I definitely reach out to get like photographers because I can't do every. I mean, I can take pictures. I have took pictures and stuff of people for people. Um, it's fun, and sometimes I take pictures if I need certain stuff for like art that I can't find a picture on the internet or create like certain stuff for myself
Okay.
that I need. But yeah, it's kind of, it's cool. It's a cool balance of like, I get to help people out, because I'm not like, hey, I need all your money type of artist. I work with you. I know what it's like being an artist. I'm an artist myself. I know what it sucks trying to get someone to do your artwork or them being on time or them being honest or feel like you're going to get ripped off or blah, 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 or it's too
Okay.
much,
I thought I was the only one
you
saying
know?
that.
So I understand all that. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
try to help people and work with people,
Yeah.
I have my guidelines, I have
Yeah.
no problem saying no to people at the same time. I get to pick and choose my clients.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ha- have you thought about getting into NFTs, or that's just not?
No, I would love to. I'm just dumb when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah. Same here, bro.
Like I mean, I get into the stock market kind of, and I kind of understand, but like NFTs and cryptocurrency and all that, because I know it's linked with cryptocurrency. Like I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
don't understand. I
Yeah.
mean,
Me
I
neither.
own some
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, and it's like up and down or whatever, but at the same time, I'm just not like the one thing that I've learned is if you don't know about it and you try to learn about it and it's still hard, then you need to talk to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You need to, so like I need a little help in certain areas, and you got to know when you need help. So that's an area I need help. But I would love to get into NFTs. Like I would love to kind of figure that out and create artwork and music for that. Like one of my homies in Germany, Jeff, he wants me to get in NFTs where we create like music to go with like images and
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like,
NFTs can be like a whole stand-up skit.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it could be a whole bunch of things. And
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like, so I was like, I don't understand so much. I was like,
yeah.
it's
Me
you
neither
need
too, but yeah,
I can't like figure out NFTs and be an artist and not like I got, when you start taking on too much, then that's when you're gonna start sinking. When you start taking too much of the sea onto your boat's gonna
yeah.
go under. So
Trust me, I've been there.
you're
Not
gonna
too
have
long
to
ago.
pick and choose your battle. So
Yeah,
like right now I'm just trying to focus on like being an artist, like music when I can, but then being a graphic artist, which is a huge thing. And then, on
that
the
is.
side, like
Yeah,
my side hustle is like thrifting and reselling, which I really enjoy.
yeah. Dude, oh, yeah, yeah.
And then those are like my three things. Like music, I don't really make money from, but art, like what my 9 to 5 art
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like doing art for people, I make music from, and then thrifting, I make music from, and them kind of give me everything. So music is kind of took in a back seat to that, but it's like having like knowing my path and knowing what I'm good at and what I'm doing and focusing on that.
Yeah.
That's more important. Like being an art, if you're an artist, be an artist. You can't be the manager, you can't be the producer,
Oh, yeah. Dude,
and
tell me about
you
it, man.
can't do all of that
Yeah,
being an artist because
yeah,
you only have so much time to do so many things. So it's really about building a good team
yeah.
around you, and it's really just because you can do something don't mean you should. You know, you have to really pick and choose your battles and say,
Yeah.
hey, what is going to help get me further? And if I, what's it like? If I can't DJ, so then it should be in the best interest to reach out to a DJ,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Because if I'm gonna DJ, that show's gonna suck. You know, so you have to tell yourself like, oh, I have Photoshop, I can make my own art. But if your art sucks and people look at it, how is that going to make me listen to your song? You know, even if your song isn't great, your art should look fucking amazing. Your art is the first thing people see for your music. You know, your logo is the first thing people see. Like, no one cares about your pictures or selfies or whatever, you know, that they post, you know, like it's about how you sell these image of your song because the selfie isn't your song, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you get 100 likes on your selfie and you only get fucking 2 likes on your song,
Yeah.
something's wrong, right? You know, so there's balance. It's a balancing fucking act. You know, you gotta like, you have to know. So then you got to get that person to help get your song likes and get that up to where you are. You know, it's a balancing act. You can't do everything yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
If that makes any sense at
No,
all.
no, it does, but like, I shit you not. I thought you were doing your music more than your art. I thought your art was like your side, and your music was your main.
No, I mean, there's no like music is hard to make music. I mean, music is hard to make money from, and music was the main for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but it's not. It hasn't been for like 3 years. Like right now, you want to ask a question, and I'll answer.
No, the only reason why I say that, like, bringing this up after that, what you just told me, is because I'm like, fuck. Knowing you're an artist is gonna give me more pressure. What I'm gonna give you? Well, I'm gonna give it to you right now, Ben, because like you'll see what.
Well, yeah, dude, you shouldn't give you no pressure. You're probably your art and my art are two different things.
So I was reaching through the archives, bro. I went to Coppa's
Nice.
foodware. It kind of
Welfare foods,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, man, I
God,
copped some.
that looks like me. Look at that. This is fire, man.
Yeah,
Oh, dude. I'm gonna laminate this actually.
yeah. I gave it a clear coat. That's why you see it kind of
Yeah, it
foggy.
has. Yeah, it's nice. I'm just gonna put a nice little stick laminate because then it'll waterproof it.
Yeah, yeah. You don't gotta show the camera. But the thing is, what's it called?
This is
At
dope.
every artist, or not every artist, every person, every guest that comes on, bro. Like I said, man,
Give
give
him
me
a-
your time. I'm gonna give you my time. And you're coming from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, bro, I couldn't just give you like two little coasters.
No, man, this is
Oh
dope.
well, this is more inside, but
Oh, there's more inside.
yeah, but open that
Oh, I'm
at
on
the
my
end.
own time.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
word. Well,
yeah,
this still all right.
yeah, yeah.
No,
But
there's no pressure, man. Look at
I was just like,
the
ah,
flakes look like flakes, man. Zoom in on that if you can. But hey, cameraman, right here. Nah, but seriously, no, this is dope. I appreciate it. Anything, this is better than like, you know, giving me like something that you went and bought because you made this, you put time into it
but
and
yeah,
thought. No, I
yeah.
appreciate
I give
this,
every
man.
guest like at least two coasters, some stickers.
I appreciate
But I was
that.
like, man, bro, he's coming all the
Give
way
me
down, bro. I got to give him something vintage.
no, it works. I love it, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Talking about vintage, bro. Like, how did you get into that? If you don't mind me
I COVID got me into it. You know, it just kind of happened by accident. I've always had friends who got into it, and I probably would say so. Like the homie Birdo from Covert,
okay.
he's like the first person. Like I seen people into it, but he's like the first person that I really seen go ham with it.com with like you go to a place and it's like, God damn, look at all these clothes and they're all dope. Like
Yeah.
he's like the first person that I really seen do it, and which was a huge inspiration. But I never really thought about it, you know, too much as like this is something I want to do or whatever. And then we were out at Agenda. I was out there for my girlfriend's because my girlfriend she's an artist. She's a fashion designer and she has a children's clothing company called the Mini Classy, and they've provided clothes for like Kourtney Kardashian's kids to like my man from Saved by the Bell. What's his name?
The main guy?
No, Save. What's my man's name for Saved by the Bell?
The,
Two people from Saved by the Bell.
the
Tiffany and these Kelly. So Kelly
okay, okay.
Kapowski.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
her and Mario
Oh, Mario.
Lopez.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they provided clothes to their kids. Santana Moss, a lot of different kids,
Yeah.
like celebrity kids, their clothes have been on, and so they had like a good run, and she's been an artist and whatnot. And what was the question?
Oh, the vintage, bro. Like,
Yeah, okay, so back
yeah,
to the
yeah,
vintage. So one year we were at Agenda, back to the vintage. Yeah, so this all stems to that. So my girl, they do fashion design. We were at Agenda in Long Beach one year. It was probably like 6 years ago, and we met Slobby Robbie there, and
okay,
he had like a booth and everything, and he was doing the reselling thing too, and he was just kind of talking about how big it was and how he's making his money. And never really thought anything about it, and then my friend Rick in Iowa opened up a whole store doing this shit, and I was like, damn, that's really cool. It's really lucrative.
yeah, yeah.
And so one day, me and my girl just put some stuff. We made a store, and we just kind of started going shopping. We started finding a few things, and then it just kind of slowly started trickling from there. You know,
And I, is it just clothes or is it
it's like
all
all
type?
kinds of different
Okay,
we
okay.
dolls, clothes, whatever. I mean, our collection is fairly small. We only been doing it for like a year or so,
Okay.
but I mean, we have some cool stuff, you know, and it's like,
Yeah, I seen, bro.
well, it just kind of started with COVID. It was, you know, like we moved to this small town called Fort Atkinson, and they had a few thrifting places, and I just happened to go up there one day because it was by my doctor's office and go in there. And all of a sudden, I just seen a few shirts that some of my friends were posting that were making money from, and I was like, all right, I'm
Okay.
gonna buy this shirt, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
ended up being like a $60 shirt, and I was like, oh shit. And
yeah.
then it just kind of started from there, like accident. You know, I was like, well, I guess I could go to COVID. I mean, sorry, I guess I could go to COVID. I guess I could go to Goodwill during COVID. You
Yeah,
know,
okay,
and
yeah.
so then that just became the place where I'd spend like going to antique places, thrift markets, and it just kind of grew from like living in rural Wisconsin for a while because Fort Atkinson's like in a rural area. It's like a town of 15,000. It's real small, and it was like an enclosed community. Had its own hospital, grocery store, and it wasn't really so touched by COVID, you
Oh,
know.
okay, okay, yeah.
But it was so we moved there from Milwaukee. It was cool. That's where we got into vintage.
Okay, yeah.
So
And you said you opened a store?
no, God, no, not yet.
Oh, okay.
We want to down the line, you know. We'll see what happens. You know, right now we're just me and my girl just go out and do it, kind of like.
Do you remember the first thing you copped?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first thing I copped. It was a Ramones T-shirt, like a legitimate Ramones '70s fucking T-shirt,
Yeah.
and it was like in this Fort Atkinson place, and I thought it was like just a reprint, whatever, and I grabbed it, bought it, like, oh, whatever. Because there was a shirt, I went there, stopped there before, and there was a Motley Crue shirt there that I passed up on, like, whatever, I have one, that's a knock, because people were wearing band shirts, and, like, whatever. I thought it wasn't a real joint, but I bought that. Second time I came back, there was a Ramones one there, I just bought it, and it turned out to be real.
Oh,
And I was
shit.
like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And then I started like doing research, reading labels, like just slowly getting into it. I'm
Yeah.
nowhere an expert, but you
Yeah.
start watching shows. Like all of a sudden, my whole life is like watching fucking Storage Wars and shit
Shit,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like
that's my shit. I don't
American
know why.
Pickers and stuff like that. And so then I start watching all this shit, and I'm just starting to. It's like becoming my life. Like
Yeah.
wow, you could really lose yourself in it. But I mean, it can pay good too, and it's fun, it's fun.
Okay, some of that stuff does look comfortable as hell.
I mean, it's a different time too. Like the '90s and
Yeah.
'80s clothes were just made different. They're just made in a different way. Which, like nowadays, like in the last 10 years, I call it fast food fashion. Where like H&M and Forever 21 and stores like that,
Yeah.
them clothes will never be vintage because they'll never last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as where the
Yeah.
clothes that from our time when we were kids that we grew up, the Jordan tees, all of these certain things, they were made a certain way, made in the USA. That's what you kind of, you're looking for things that are going to last like forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like not shit that's made nowadays. So that's the other cool thing about vintage too is because it goes up like it's worth more the longer you hold on to it.
Yeah, yeah. Trust me, man. I worked at a Chrysler company. I know how they make the cars now. Yeah, I can tell why. I can tell why a car now gets obliterated
Right.
compared to an old school car
Right.
that would have a dent or
Because it's
something.
just it's called consumerism.
Yeah,
If you're not consuming something, then what no one. If it always is working, then you don't need to go buy another. If your beer was always to replenish in your refrigerator, you would never buy another beer.
yeah,
You're like, oh, it's there. If if your fucking hair dryer always works, you know, or your car you never broke down, or you know, like your clothes, like just certain, you know, you couldn't buy another one.
When you started getting into vintage, bro, is there anything you regretted? Like, oh damn, I remember
No,
having.
you just, you know, it's like anything, you're gonna learn from making bad purchases. It's
Yeah,
just how it is, you
yeah.
know, it's just how it is. Because also, it isn't just all vintage that I'm looking for. It's like anything I can flip for a profit, you
Okay.
know, or like, hey, if I can buy five shirts for fucking $6 each, and I can turn around and sell those 6 shirts for $10 each. I just made me a nice little profit. And if I do that 6, 7 times, you
I felt
know,
like I'm in storage wars.
so it's just about like, you know, it's like
Yeah,
some things are going to be worth more, and
yeah, yeah,
you know, there's some things that worth the fight to get more out of. But you know, at the same time too, you want to have
yeah,
a steady flow of like income, or a steady having it create a steady kind of flow.
yeah.
You know.
Uh, growing up, being old now, I regret losing my homie collection because I had the whole set.
Well, yeah, if we're talking about like what we regret as far as like being a kids and we should have held on to, yeah,
Pokemon cards.
all my GI Joes, Transformers, He Man, all
Ooh,
my comic
yeah,
books, all the
yeah.
things like that I sold in college, my jerseys, my
Yeah.
like, dude, I had such one of the illest like snapback collection, my tape collection, cassette tape collection. Like there was just a lot of things that like, yeah. If we're talking regret there, yeah. But I can't hold that in because I didn't know no better.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, and
true.
at that time, I needed those things to do what they did. They got me to where they got me here. You know, I just needed that money at that time. So,
I was just dumb, and I think I
so
ate a
be it.
couple. I was just like,
Swallowed a few. Like, I'm not going back for it.
I was like, where does this end up? But man, Dana, man, I really appreciate you
Yeah, thank
coming,
you,
bro.
man.
We're at that hour and 30, man. I don't want to keep you too long because I bet you the stores are calling right now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm
because
good.
it's 1:30.
Oh, it's 1:30. Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotta head out in
yeah,
about
yeah,
an hour.
yeah.
Well, peace. Thanks for watching, y'all, man.
Wait, but where can they find you, bro? Where
I
for?
mean, music wise, search. I'm on Apple Music. I'm on Spotify, which are the two main ones that I'll just promote. Dana Copperfield, DanaCoppafeel. You can search any of those places for that. You could pretty much Google search Dana Copperfield on Google, and most of my stuff will come up. I have Bandcamp, Dana Coppa, or bandcamp.com/ Dana Copperfield. You can just purchase music direct there for me, which is better because I don't have to go through streaming. You could go to YouTube, search Dana Copperfield on YouTube. All my videos are there. I think that's pretty much about it. You can search Dana Copperfield on IG. Um,
Art for hire.
yeah, you can search Coppa Cover, COPPACOVER for artwork, for digital artwork for your albums or logos or whatever your needs are. Hit me up. Pretty much that's where you can find me.
All right, guys, stay tuned and stay safe. Thank you,
Bo,
guys.
bo, bo.